So welcome everyone. Today we're moving again into the hips and working with strength and flexibility in some different ways than last week. So just start by finding your feet, bending your knees, and the knees tracking over those second toes. So continuing with working, of course, with legs and feet as the foundation. And then inhale, pull up on the kneecaps. And to get a bit more into the hips, if you like, you can bring your legs together and squeeze those inner thighs together as you pull up. And then exhale, bend. So this, having the legs together, if that works for you, works a bit more with the upper part of the leg into the hips, pulling up, squeezing, 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 and exhale, release. Inhale, opening the arms to the side, working with those neck and shoulders. Most of us have some stuff going on there. Exhale, release. You can keep bringing the arms higher and higher if you want to work more with neck and shoulders. Long exhale to begin. Feel those legs and feet squeeze. And you can go into an Ardha Utkatasana, half squat, a chair pose to really work the legs, feet, and hips. Inhale. Exhale. The exhale from the pelvic floor up to the belly button. Inhale. Expand the belly. You know how to do the chest belly breath, you can do that. Exhale from the pelvic floor up. Inhale from the chest down or just release the belly. And last one. Now, I don't know if when you were doing that, you noticed any shifting in the hips, but we often have one leg we favor more than the other. So just invite you to start drawing your awareness to that. We're going to go up on our toes next. Inhale, coming up. Now squeeze those thighs together on the inhale and on the exhale, especially on the exhale. Squeeze those thighs for this one. Inhale, coming up. Arms any height, comfortable for your neck and shoulders. Exhale, squeeze those thighs. Now try to keep from bringing the heels down until the very last seconds so that the hands come down at the same time as the heels, and that takes attention and mindfulness. Keep this going on your own. This is called Tadasana or palm tree in the South Indian tradition. We do everything 4 to 6 times, so it's just going to depend on the length of your breath. I try to show around 4 times usually, sometimes 6 in the beginning. The next one, we're going to start going to the sides. Now this works with the upper back, neck and shoulders, but the hip as well. So as you exhale, come towards your left. If you can, stay up on those toes. So this is working with the legs and feet as well, starting to get into the side body and into that right hip. And then at the end of the exhale, bring the heels down and maybe bend that left knee. So we started working on this last week in an easier version. Inhale, if you like, coming up on those toes, and exhale, start going to the other side. Can you keep that balance going as you stretch into space and then come down, and then maybe bending that right knee. And just keep this going. It's a Parshva version of Tadasana. Parshva means lateral movement or one side at a time. And I'm adding this piece to get more into the hip by bending that knee. It takes it more into the hip. The QL, quadratus lumborum, it links the lower back and the hip. And as I've said in other classes, I have found this to be a major cause of back spasms, especially as we age. This area seems to just really get compressed through gravity and tissue just drying up. Now on the next one, if you like, you can stay on one side. You can always drop that lower arms, or I forgot to mention that. Probably know that. And you can take it to the wall to add a bit more. And I'm just going to show a dynamic version of this. You know, if you have a tendency towards tightness in this area, you go for a walk, or you just get up in the morning, it feels kind of tight in the side of the hip. This is something you can do, you know, as you're waiting for your tea to steep in the morning, or waiting for your coffee to brew. You can just do a few of these in the kitchen as you wait for something to get ready. Just do a few, you know, 4 of those Tadasanas in the center, and then a few of these just to warm things up. Or you can stay once you're warm like we are. And you can also try crossing that left foot over the right. I'm mirroring you, so I'm cueing for you. And see if that's more intense. That feels good. I'm trying to align my shoulders so I'm not collapsing forward. And then when you're ready, the other side. Let's give it a shot. So you can do whatever version of this you like. Simplest version is just this. Exhale, bend that right knee, the side you're coming towards, and inhale, release. Exhale, side bend, I'm bending the knee, and inhale, release. Do that a number of times. You can keep that going, or if you feel warm enough, you can stay in the position like this with the bent knee, or cross that foot over. I hope you guys can see me well. And the more you press with that top hand, the more you can stretch out. Another way I do this is using something like this on a balcony, and I use it for traction like this. So if you have that available to you, like on a deck or on a stairwell, you can always add that for a bit more. When you feel ready, release that. So that's to get into those QLs. And let's just do a forward bend to tie that together. Inhale, arms coming up. And we're going to exhale, Om, center. Om. Inhale up. And you can do this in your own time, chorus of Oms. Om. So Om is the sound that represents the link, the conscious link between all of us. You could think of it as energy, sound, light. Om. Space between the molecules. So space is considered very sacred in the Vedas, as is sound. Om. And perhaps that consciousness lives on. Perhaps it never dies, it just keeps going. Like our idea of energy, it just keeps changing form. Om. And perhaps you have a particular worldview of how to describe that energy field. Oh. Just a reminder, these 4 bends you could be doing just halfway at the chair with bent knees coming down. Last one. Om. Inhale up. So I've said this many times. So I always demo this with, not always, with one foot slightly back, where I have one hip that is a little higher than the other. So you can play with that in your 4 bends when you're coming forward. So when I come forward like this, I can kind of feel my right leg. It's kind of like stuck almost. It's not working quite right. And when I put that heel slightly back, all of a sudden I feel my hips even out. So again, it was something I discovered in my practice, and it's helpful for many students. You can play with that today during the practice for balancing your hips and lower back and even your hamstrings. It goes into that, all sorts of imbalances. All right, well, we're going to go into those chair lunges because they're pretty intense. So I want to use them as a warm up. So I want you to bring your left leg onto your chair, and you could use a stool if you prefer, or a bench. And if you don't have anything, you could just do a regular lunge on the floor and use blocks. I think one of you usually does that. And that back leg, so that back leg can be like a warrior leg. The foot can be turned out. See that okay? Or if you can, make it parallel, more like a lunge. So the wider, the longer it is, the harder it's going to be. Yeah. And then if you can also be able to bring your hands to that wall as a possibility, it depends on what you decide to do with this. Okay, so we're just going to inhale here and then exhale. I'm going to put my hands on the back of the chair. I'm going to exhale, bend my back knee and stretch that thigh and hip flexor. So this is one of my favorite thigh hip flexor stretches. Inhale, coming up. And if you like, you can add the arms to add a bit more balance. Exhale, release. If you want to make it a little easier, you can bring one hand, just one hand up. So opposite arm to front knee. So I've got my left knee here. This is my right arm up. Exhale, release. You can also bring your arms to the sides like this. And then exhale, hold the sides of the chair. That's a nice one for the upper back, neck, and shoulders. The more you can bend that back knee, I've got my right hand on the chair, I'm really stretching that thigh. Just keep that going, whatever version you want. So I actually find this more helpful than doing a regular lunge. And I often do it on park benches if I'm in a city. I used to live in Vancouver. I do walks, and then on a park bench, I just do this as a yoga break. I'm doing around 6, maybe a few more. Now this is also really working on strengthening that glute med on the left side. We're now going to do a forward bend to capacity. So depending on your mobility, holding the back of the chair, stretching that front leg if you can, or it's going to be slightly bent. I'll talk about the breath in a minute. So inhale here into your lunge. That back foot again can be parallel or turned out for more stability. Exhale, forward bend. So I can leave my hands on the back of the chair, or I can have my hands on the wall. You can go a little closer, hands on the wall. You can do it this way. So this is less intense. Just to there, my knee is still bent, my belly's on my thigh, or maybe straightening the leg. So I'm going to do holding the back of the chair or the chair itself. More intense When you come up, bring the arms up or to the sides. The knee can come forward towards the toes, don't worry about that. And exhale, forward bend. So this is getting into the hips and the legs and even the feet. I have a video of me doing this with Todd Caldecott. Some of you might know him, Ayurvedic doctor, back in like, I don't know, 2006 or something. Park bench yoga. When you're ready, staying here. It's on YouTube somewhere. Inhale, lifting the chest, exhale, forward bend. Inhale, point the toes, lift the chest, point those toes, exhale, flex the toes towards the nose. Inhale. Now again, you can be doing this with the leg bent, just like that, and just going to where you can. So the foot could be on the chair and just, you don't want to overstretch those hamstrings or calf, but if you can, a straight leg, you could hold on to the back of the chair. That back foot can be turned out and release. Okay, between those, we're going to take a little break because you might be feeling quite a bit in that left hip. Let's just do a break, holding the back of the chair, spinal stretch. We haven't done this term. So holding the back of the chair, this is for my Iyengar yoga, holding the back and straightening the legs and the back as much as possible. You can bend those knees, you can bring the feet quite wide, widen the knees over those second toes, and see how that affects the rib cage when you do that. I just find that interesting. All of a sudden it's like, oh, my shoulders feel different. Just as a break, Ardha Uttanasana, half forward bend. We're using this for some traction, moving into the hips, just bringing the hips side to side. I'm moving my hips to the left and the right. We usually start with the left, the receptive side energetically before we go to the active side. You can add the head to this. And again, it will also get into the shoulders. You can bend one knee. Just play with that. Notice the connection between the upper back and the hips in the side body. Big connection there, especially for those of you with scoliosis. At least a couple of you have scoliosis. You'll really notice that connection between the hips and the upper back. But almost everyone, like trees, you look out in nature and there's a rare tree that is straight. I don't know why we think things should be straight, but they're really not in nature. It's like, I look outside, are any of these trees straight? No. So why do we think we should be straight? Let's bring the right leg up. This is part of my decolonized yoga, is actually we don't have straight lines in nature or in our bodies. So bringing your right foot up, the back foot back, finding your lunge. That back foot can be turned out if you prefer. And just finding your lunge, finding the length of it. The longer it is, the harder. And then in this position, exhale, bend that back knee. And this is stretching into the psoas and the thigh, the quads. And that will affect the knee as well. And then inhale, straighten. When you straighten, you might get a calf stretch of that left leg. Exhale, bend. Inhale, straighten, arching the back. Adding on, you can add opposite arm coming up, if you like. Both arms coming up. Arms to the sides. This is definitely balance work. And then when you're ready, Going to straighten that front leg to capacity, whatever that is for you. Inhale, coming into your lunge. And exhale, forward bend. So this is step 2 from lunge to forward bend. The lunge has 2 different names in Sanskrit. One is half camel pose, so Ekapada Ustrasana. And the other is, I'm forgetting, but usually my teachers call it that, Ekapada Ustrasana. Rajagopatasana, that's another one they call it. Half pigeon. Related to pigeon pose. Okay. So when you're ready, full leg stretch. Inhale, pointing the toes. Exhale, flexing the toes towards your nose. Again, modify with the knee bent and just go to where you can. So I'm doing this with my leg bent. And then maybe if my belly is on my thigh, I take it all the way back. I can also modify holding the back of the chair. This makes my back more aligned. And you might actually get a better stretch, especially in that left side body. So these are some of the things I did when I was rehabbing my fractured hips last fall from my bike accident. A lot of the work that I did for my hips was this. And then staying, if you can, in that stretch. And when you're ready, coming into your lunge, just being very careful about bringing that leg down. I hold it with my right arm and just bring it back, but basically any way you can come back. Go into that spinal stretch. This time I'm going to do it more like a downward facing dog at the chair. It's a bit more intense. Again, you can stagger those feet if you have one hip that's higher than the other or more compressed or feels like it needs a bit more space. Just trust that feeling in your body. Inhale, looking up, and exhale, forward bend. Now, if you want, you can do a full upward and downward facing dog with the chair. And this gets into the hips in a different way. So bringing those hips forward through, if you can, lifting away from the chair, scooping those hips forward, and exhale back. You can do this on the floor, of course, but with the height of the chair or blocks, most people get more benefit because you have more room to lift the hips through. More space. And if I were in class with you right now, those of you who have done in-person classes with me, you know I would be asking you to roll those shoulders down when you come forward. Roll them up and down so they're not up. Scoop the hips forward. Exhale back. Four to 6 times and then stay. And this is also a great one for the upper back, neck, and shoulders. If you have upper back pain or kyphosis, if you inhale, look up, and exhale, bring your head down. This can be really great for arthritis in the neck, mobility of the shoulders. And bend the knees on that exhale. This is another one I give a lot for shoulder, neck and shoulder mobility. Now, when you're ready, coming out, if you like, come out through the full forward bend. gradually coming out. Inhale halfway up, exhale, stay. I've got my hands on my thighs. You could have them on the chair. Inhale all the way up. And notice how you feel. So that is a 30-minute practice that you can do. That's a complete practice that you could do in the morning, just that little piece. All right, we're going to move on to the next section. So I'm going to keep with this chair movement. We're going to work on Utkatasana, Ardha Utkatasana, the chair pose. It doesn't really translate as that in Sanskrit, but fierce pose. I've heard that translation. Inhale, arms coming up. Now exhale with that chair. Just find where you are and sit down. So just be careful that you aim it right. Just, yeah, be mindful. Inhale, move the arms up and come up. Now this seems really easy, but actually it's surprisingly a workout. Exhale, sit down. And especially, I think it really builds our proprioception, our awareness of the back body. Inhale up. We're gonna do it without the chair in a minute, but I want to start with the chair because try to bend, and sit right at the end. And inhale up. And exhale down. So this is building strength in those hips. So we're doing actually a lot more strength work today with the hips. This can help with all sorts of problems with balancing the hips. This is something I learned from a physio about 10 years ago, is just how this kind of work can just work on balancing the strength of the hips. All right, so you can keep that going, or if you like, next possibility, which I haven't taught in a while, inhale, arms at the sides, and you're going to imagine a beautiful tree in front of you, your favorite tree. I always think of a big cedar, and bend your knees and bend. Now I'm going to go a little bit differently than when I sit in the chair. Inhale up. You can keep this going with the chair if you like. Exhale, bend. If you like, lift those toes as well so that you're using the arches of your feet. Inhale. I am looking down slightly on that exhale. Inhale, I'm looking up. Exhale, I look slightly down. Actually, a bit more than slightly. I'm looking down. Inhale. In the full pose, when we stay, we try to look forward, but draw that belly in, draw it in. So this is preparing for downhill skiing, but it's really bending the hips. Hopefully you're getting warm. And exhale, last one. Draw that belly in and inhale up. Okay, I'm going to take my sweater off because I'm getting warm. Next one we're going to do at the wall. I'm going to use my other wall. You might need to move your chair. So standing at your wall with your feet away from the wall by about 2-3 feet. You're going to inhale, bring your arms up, and then exhale, you're going to bend your knees and slide down the wall. Now this is forcing the hips to work in a different way than that chair version we did in the middle, hugging the tree. Your weight's more back, the wall's taking that weight, and you feel your thighs working a lot more, right? Inhale, coming up. You need to be able to slide quite well. And just make sure you don't have a zipper on your pants, because if you do, you will ruin your wall. So don't do this if you have a zipper on your pants, because I did that once. Don't do that. Again, this is surprisingly hard. Inhale up. Exhale down. Any of these you can go to the earlier variation I gave. So the chair, up and down, the center variation, or this one. We're going to add one more step if you want to take it up a notch. Inhale, you're gonna bring your arms up, exhale down. Now I'm just gonna keep doing that, or if you want, add one more piece, is you put a bolster between your legs or a pillow. I actually like the bolster for this one, and you squeeze that bolster and you work on the inner thighs as you do this. So inhale up, release that bolster a bit, and exhale, squeeze it. Inhale up and exhale. I tend to look down on the exhale, but you could look forward. I like that movement of my neck for my neck, but you could look up the whole time. Inhale, release a little bit, or you could hold the whole time, which I seem to be doing. And feel those inner thighs really work. This helps energetically, I find, to really ground our energy. It's also great for the knees, working with the muscles around the knees. And just finishing up, I'm going to come up, if you've got that bolster, just put it aside. And just go into a forward bend with your feet away from the wall, which allows more of us to go forward. You might just be in this halfway position. You can have the hands on the wall like this, if that's better for your body. Or if you can guide yourself forward. I'm using my fingertips, pressing away from the wall, lengthening the lower back, lengthen, 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 lengthen. Belly on the thighs, and then release. And breathe here. When you're ready, coming up. Just stay for a minute. Might be a little lightheaded. Observing the rise and fall of the breath. When you feel ready, find your samastiti. And again, this is kind of like your reset pose, where you notice, oh, there's been a change in how I feel in my body, in my mind, in my energy system. And can you observe even your feet, the weighting of your feet? Can you observe samastiti is theoretically equal weighting on both feet, but again, that's not usually how it is in the body. There's usually weight more on one foot versus the other, but maybe there's been a change. Just notice. Maybe it's a little more even. You might feel some energy going down the tailbone, down the legs, into the feet, having done all that grounding exhale work. Okay. All right. We're going to move into a new movement of the spine. So that we haven't done. So starting with Parshva, which we did do today, and then we're going to move into Parivriti. So Parshva is the lateral movement, Parivriti is rotation. We're going to do this with triangle, Trikonasana, Utthita Trikonasana, first Parshva variation. And since you're pretty warm, yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to move into Parshva Konasana right away. We're warm enough for that. So turning out your left foot. So we're going to move into a bigger version of this, which is from Warrior Two into side bend. So inhale, Your legs are quite wide apart. I'm going to use the chair as a prop, and you can choose not to use it if you want, but I'm going to show it with the chair. Inhale, arms coming up. Exhale, coming to the side. Now, so without the chair, it's this. With the chair, the hand can be on the chair, and it's a really nice variation that I learned from my anger teacher many years ago. So that's the beginning. And then your next inhale, you lengthen the arm along the ear. You can use that lower hand to open that hip. And then exhale, arm up. And inhale, coming through your warrior two, and straighten the leg and release the hands on your exhale. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, the beginning of side angle, Partial Konasana. This is definitely anything with Konasana in the pose works with the hips. Inhale, lengthening that top arm. Again, you can use that chair to help you keep your shoulders aligned. You get more stretch. Exhale, hand up. Inhale, coming through your warrior two. And exhale, arms down. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, warrior two, beginning of the pose. Inhale, lengthen through the rib cage and extend. Exhale, hand to the sky. Inhale, coming up. Keep that knee opening towards that second toe, and exhale, release. The next one, we're going to stay. Inhale, up. Exhale, bending the knee towards those toes, beginning of your pose. Inhale, arm along the ear. And staying here if you can. I'm going to try to open that hip by bringing my lower arm inside my hip. You can also do that with your elbow inside and the palm up on the chair. Another very wonderful variation to stretch that groin. Need some movement, you can exhale, bend the elbow, inhale, lengthen. That works upper back, neck, and shoulders. A lot of you have those issues, so I often do this myself in my practice. Exhale, hand to the sky, inhale, coming up. Exhale, starting position. Feet parallel. And we're going to switch sides. Just got a message on Zoom that I'm going to cancel. Okay. So I'm moving my chair to the other side. You can just flip your body. Starting with those wide legs and then turning out your right foot. Finding your warrior two position and your position with your chair if you're going to use it as a prop. You could have blocks on the chair too if you don't want to go as far down. That's another variation. So you could have blocks there or books. So just finding where you are in space, and then let's move into the vinyasa, the flow. Inhale, arms coming up shoulder height. Exhale, bending that knee. We really have prepared for this. Bend it, bend it, bend it towards the toes. And you could even bring it right to the chair if you wanted to. The hand is in line with the shoulder. And then inhale, arm along the ear. Feel that length from the fingertips down the side body, down the leg, into the foot. So that's your inhale. Exhale, hand to the sky for the neck and shoulders. You could look down and away and even bring that top arm back a bit. Inhale, coming up through your warrior two. Straighten the leg. And exhale, release. So this is working with psoas, hip flexors, side body, the hip opening of the front hip. So all sorts of things, and strength, all of it. Inhale, coming up. Everything we prepared for, here it is. Tying it together. Exhale. You do want to be fairly warm for this. Inhale. You can move with that arm inside the hip for different effect. Exhale. I'm adding the neck movement. Inhale. The end of the inhale, straightening the leg. Exhale, head center, release the arms down. Fourth time, inhale. And then we're going to stay. Exhale. Inhale. Now I'm showing opening the hip and using the chair. Now I'm going to stay here. I can stay like this or add this variation for neck and shoulders. Exhale, bend the elbow, look down. Keep bending that knee towards the chair. Inhale. Exhale, this big groin stretch. Inner thigh. Maybe going to the floor with that lower hand. Maybe holding the ankle. Okay, and then moving up, exhale, hand to the sky, maybe looking down or straight ahead. Inhale, coming up, be careful. It's a lot of weight after staying. Exhale, release. And tying it together with Prasarita Uttanasana. So forward bend, wide-legged forward bend. I'm going to remove my chair, and you might want to do the same because from this we're going to go to the floor. So you might want to move your chair as we prepare to go to the floor, and you might want to add a sweater or something because you're going to start cooling down. It will still be strength work, but not as intense as what we just did. So just preparing for this transition. We did this last week for the groin, and I really love this variation for the hips. So feet nice and wide. You might be able to make them wider than normal after all the work we've done. Inhale, arms up center. So the classical pose is exhale just to the center. So a lot of you will know this pose, wide-legged forward bend. Notice if you feel one leg more than the other, one groin more than the other, one set of hamstrings more than the other. Inhale, coming up. The arms can be in front of you or sides. I'm going to do sides. And then from here, you're going to rotate towards that left hip and come down. Again, you can bend the knee to make it more into the hips, especially that right hip. Inhale up. Exhale, start rotating to the other side. Here's our rotation. I was going to do a little bit more rotation, but I think this is as far as we're going to go today. Exhale, center. Next week, we'll add a bit more Padavriti. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, twisting towards that left side, coming down. Now you can keep the leg straight or bend it to open the hips a bit more. Inhale. It's also helping work on asymmetry and gait, loading one leg at a time. Really important for walking. Symmetry and gait. Exhale. It will never be perfectly symmetric. Inhale, coming up. Next round, round 3, exhale left. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, right. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, center again. You can bend the knees or not. And we're going to stay here now. We did this last week. Inhale, coming halfway up. Now you can leave your hands on the ground. You could have blocks under your hands or even a bench and be a little higher. And then you're going to bend left leg. Exhale. Inhale, center, straighten. Exhale, other side. So again, one side of the groin at a time. Inhale. I know one of you requested that last week, and it's important for all of us to work with. Now, if you want to add on the inhale, bring the arms to the sides. Exhale, bring the hands to the leg, that left leg first. Inhale, center. Exhale, right. So this is the next step. You do not have to do this. Just keep doing the first variation. Just adding a bit more of that Parivriti, that rotation. Okay, I guess we're going into the Parivriti. I wasn't planning on it, but here we are. So the sequence is telling me this is the next step. So with your right hand in the center now, it could be on a block. You're going to inhale, open up, exhale, release. Inhale, open up, exhale, release. Now I'm going to refine the sequence a bit. Inhale, lengthen the spine. So you just come halfway up. And then we try to always exhale on a twist. So now I'm going to do that. Exhale, twisting to the left to where I can. Inhale here. Exhale, release all the way down. So I have to add that step. Otherwise, you can just inhale up, exhale down. Inhale, lengthen the spine. In the center, exhale, twisting to the right. Inhale, stay here, reach up. Exhale, release. And notice if there's one side you can twist to easier than the other. If you have scoliosis, that'll likely be the case. Inhale, lengthen. Even if you don't, exhale, twisting the other way to your left. Inhale, so this side's much harder for me. My body can't twist as far this side. So very helpful to work with that. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, twist to the right. Inhale, stay. Exhale, release. Last time, inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, other side, left. Feel how the groin of the opposite leg is working. Inhale. Exhale, release. Last one. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, twist. Inhale. Exhale, down. Now I'm going to twist towards that front leg if I can. Bring the knee down. And coming into child's pose. You could do some lunges at that point, but I'm not going to do that today because we did a lot earlier. And just rest, and I'm just going to adjust my camera now so you can see me a bit better as we line the floor. And I also invite you, if you have a nice, soft rug, I've got this awesome standing desk that goes up and down, so it just went down. I've got this lovely rug that some of you will remember from my East Van studio. And this is really nice for supine poses. So if you have something like a blanket or something, you can add that just to add a bit more cushion to what we're about to do. Just make sure you have room for your arms as well to come to the sides. And then when you're ready, coming down. Here we are. You made it. All right, so you might be feeling your legs shaking a little bit because that was a lot of work. So today I'm sharing with you a lot of the stuff I did to rehab my hips about a year ago from a fracture. Inhale, center, exhale. You're going to bring both knees towards your left. And since we're already warm, I'm just going to stay here. I think you're probably warm. If you don't feel warm enough, just go side to side. So you can do side to side first if you like, or if you feel ready, you might just stay here. Now in this stay pose, you can inhale, tuck your tail under and bring your hips towards the left. Exhale, release, and just feel that movement in the spine. You'll feel the opposite shoulder working likely. You could have blocks under this left open hip to help you, or a bolster even. Some of you might bring that left foot on top of the right thigh and hang out there. And then coming to the other side when you're ready, inhale center, exhale other side. So you don't want to do poses in a static way unless you're quite warm, and we are quite warm, I think, from what we just did. So I think we're ready to stay. Inhale, scooping the hips under, bringing them towards the right. Feel that left psoas stretching and all the way into the shoulder, that connection between the shoulder, the side body, and the hip. And exhale, release. So that's something we don't think about, but our body is one chain and one part affects the other when it's tight. Especially for those of you with scoliosis or any imbalance in the spine. When you feel ready, you can put that right foot on top of the left thigh. You might put a block underneath that right thigh. So I'm just going to show that. On this side, for me, this feels better. Just have a bit of support there. Just listen to your body. It will tell you if it wants that. How can I make myself 1% more comfortable, as they say in restorative yoga from the Iyengar yoga tradition? And that might change. When you're ready, releasing that. The next movement we're going to do is crossing the left knee over the right. Inhale here, exhale, coming towards the right. This is getting more into the lower back now. Inhale, center, and that Parivriti, that twist, exhale. So we went from Parshva to Parivriti, side bends to the twists, and that's a classical progression. Inhale, center, exhale, side. Again, notice the connection with the upper back, neck, and shoulders. You can just go as little or as much as you want. Doing 4 to 6 rounds, left to right, or you can start with your easy side and go to your hard side. That's a yoga therapy framework that you can work with. When I'm cueing left to right, you can just modify that for yourself. Switching sides when you're ready. Crossing the right knee over the left if that works for your body. Inhale, center, exhale, coming to the left. Inhale, center, exhale, right. Again, I like having this thicker mat. Just make some of these poses a little more comfortable. You can also do all of this part of the practice on a bed or a futon. When I travel and I don't have space in a room, I'll do bed yoga, and it'll be this kind of practice. Just feel how that gets into the lower back as you go to the left in particular. And finishing up. Okay, so we're just going to do, excuse me, a counter pose. So left over right. Now, I'm going to do this with a pillow underneath my lower back, or a soft block if you have one of those. Pillow no higher than the waist. I'm crossing my left knee over my right. You can do it without. And I'm just bringing my knees towards my chest. And the goal is to feel this left piriformis, my left knee over my right. And the kids at the studios in Vancouver, they call this whale tail, which it kind of looks like a whale, which occasionally I see in the waters below me in Gunboat Bay. Calpillin, the Pender Harbor region of the Sunshine Coast. You can flex those toes towards your nose. You can make this harder by holding your feet, easier by just holding anywhere you can, your shins. And your focus is feeling that left outside of the hip into the lower back. You're really prepared for this. Switching sides. So you can just do a version of asana with the legs crossed. If you're ready, staying in the pose, maybe bringing that tail up, those legs up, and feeling the right piriformis, the legs on top. You'll feel the outside of the hip probably. This can cause a lot of trouble with the lower back, the piriformis being tight. When you're ready, switching out of there. Okay, moving into some hip opening. So left foot over right. So inhale, opening the hip. This is step one. Try not to twist the hip all the way to the left. Keep that right hip grounding down. I'm leaving my pillow underneath, but you could have nothing. Exhale, bring the knee across towards the right shoulder. Inhale, open. Exhale, cross. If you want to take it to the next step, you can just bring the legs up, put that left hand through that opening between the legs. Or my preference often is to use my left hand, open the hip using that hand, and with my right hand holding the foot and just working the hip that way. And you can do this even from the ground or with your foot on the wall. Actually is a really nice way to do this. I'm just pretending my foot's on the wall so you can see that. Or relax that lower leg and bring it in a bit more that way. So that's my preference, that you can do the traditional through the window version. Let's switch sides. So piriformis stretch. My teacher just calls it a variation of Apanasana, knee to chest. So just inhale, opening, exhale, bring the knee across. This is a simple version for hip mobility. You've had a hip replacement, or you just kind of want to check out what's going on with your lower back and hip, and just start with this, and then, oh, that feels good. Okay, I'm going to go to the next step. Maybe the next step is the foot on the wall and you're just hanging out here with that movement, or release that lower leg, bring your hands through that window, hold the opposite thigh if that feels good, or you can hold the foot. If you have less mobility, this might feel good. Just opening with that right hand on the right thigh, inhale and exhale, bring it in using the left hand on the right foot. So inhale, I'm not mirroring during this part because I don't need to, so it's much easier if I don't have to, of course. Just play with whatever variation works, and sometimes one side will be different than the other. Your goal is to get into the outside of the hip, that piriformis from the outside of the right hip into the lower back. You do not want this going into the knee, so adjust if the knee is bothering you. And then release. Okay, so a lot of hip work there. Just a little bit more on the opening side. First, I just want to have a counter pose. So we're going to stretch one side at a time. So bringing that left foot
into the left hand. If this doesn't work, just hold behind the thigh, stretching that right leg down if you can, or keep it bent. Half happy baby. This stretches that right psoas a lot. And if you like, you can stretch that left leg. You could use a belt holding the left foot. I'm just going to show that. This would be, I imagine, quite a few of you will need a little bit of length to help you do this. So you can use the belt to give you that length. And use the hand, it just gives you a bit more control. So that's working that left groin and the right hip flexors. So as we're going to switch sides. So again, you can use the belt. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, bend. Feeling that left psoas, hip flexor, and right hamstrings, groin. And this is like a supine lunge. So we really have prepped for this. That lunge we did with the chair. This is a supine version, if you can imagine. And then happy baby on both sides, the back. And all right. So this last section before we rest, just want to do a little bit of Supta Baddha Konasana, this hip opener. So inhale, opening the hips, the arms coming up. Exhale, closing the hips, using the core strength to gradually draw the hips in. Now you can do this one side at a time. You've got one hip that doesn't open the same as the other. So I'm just going to show that inhale, opening the left. And what you'll notice is all of a sudden, oh, that hip opens all the way down to the ground. And then exhale, draw it in. I also feel like in terms of mindfulness, this is just a wonderful, very soothing exercise for the mind emotions. Inhale, other side opening. It's very gentle. And see that hip opening all the way. Exhale. With the core strength, draw that leg in. That's feeling good, then maybe opening both hips. Supta Baddha Konasana, this is a vinyasa version. Exhale. Using the core strength to draw the legs in. Feel like your legs are heavy and they're only moving because of your exhale and your mula, your core root strength. Inhale, opening. Tucking that chin in on the inhale and exhale, drawing in. And if you feel ready, just staying here in this opening. Now, if you have one hip different than the other in terms of opening, you can put two of these blocks, one on each side, or sometimes I'll just put a block on the side that doesn't open as well, but that can lead to problems. Lead to a slight imbalance, so be careful of that. You want to do that very mindfully with someone looking at you. A little bit safer is your pillow or bolster underneath the thighs and just hang out here. Classically, this position is arms overhead. We're going to do it as leading into a final seated meditation. So we're going to do this as a rest, as a restorative rest. The arms could be overhead if you want. Just observing the natural rise and fall of the breath. And you might feel energy moving especially on a hip that has less mobility or strength. Want to add a mantra? Inhale, let. Exhale, go. Practice like this stirs the pot sometimes of our emotional system. In Sanskrit, inhale Om, exhale Namo. I surrender, I allow. I give up resisting the flow of life. And just allow any negativity, suffering, just to roll off me. Not taking it personally. You can stay here if you want, or join me for a final seated breath pranayama practice, or just stay here and continue to rest if you know that sitting is not comfortable for your body. If you can, rolling onto your right side and then coming up. You might notice that you're able to sit a little bit better than you normally can because of the work that we did. If you need any support of props because of your knees, just do use them under. Got a knee that a little bit sore when you're crossing. You can just support it and make sure you're not feeling that. You can also sit on something higher if that feels better in your hips. So just adjusting. I'm showing Sukhasana, happy pose with the feet underneath the knees to support them. And often I go from that into a version that just goes like that, depending on what's going on for my knees. Just sitting here comfortably. We're just going to do a simple pranayama. Inhale, Ujjayi pranayama, constricting the throat. The belly expanding if you can. Inhale, belly, chest.
Exhale through the left nostrils. I'm gonna mirror for you. So I'm closing that right nostril, half closing the left. I've got my elbow up as if a dunda or a staff is holding it up. And I have my knuckles on my third eye. Inhale both nostrils. I'm going to switch hands. I'm in Mrigi Mudra, or you can just use crow hands like this. Inhale both nostrils. Exhale right. After one round, I'm going to switch hands. Inhale both nostrils. Exhale left. Inhale both. Exhale right. Just think of long exhale, whatever that is for you. I'm doing for myself about an inhale 4, exhale 8. It could be inhale 3, exhale 6, or inhale 2, exhale 4. Now I'm switching side to side with my hands. Traditionally, it's just the right hand that is used, but again, I've tried to make it a bit more balanced by switching side to side for a yoga therapy approach. And just finishing up, that's one you could do 12 rounds of, left to right. Ending with Om Shanti. This means peace. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace. 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 Namaste. Namaskaram. Thank you very much.